Hello, welcome to my video. Today I will continue my trip around the world on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 in a PMDG 737 using Simbrief and Pilot2ATC. I don't have much time during the day to do these flights, so I had to find a flow that does the bare minimum to still enjoy flying a 737 somewhat properly, and I figured I'll share that flow for those that may enjoy it as well. This may also be useful for those that are new to flying an airliner using an FMC, since I will demonstrate a quick way of programming it. The use of Pilot2ATC is optional. I just prefer using it over the default one or nothing at all. I'm not a pilot, I am a mechanic who knows what the buttons do. This isn't a tutorial, but I will explain why I do things the way I do them. If you are looking for a more realistic way of flying the 737 using proper technique and procedures, there are many other YouTube videos available, and I suggest using a checklist. Now that this somewhat lengthy introduction is out of the way, let's get flying. So first I'll note that I have a little notepad with a pen, of course, just to make notations of what I'm going to enter in the FMC and everything. It just makes it a lot easier if you have something close by to write stuff down. Also, when ATC says something that you want to write down, it's handy to have it there. I found myself last landing in Rio de Janeiro, and I want to go from there to Brasilia, and that's basically all I do. I'm not gonna like measure or whatever. I look at the map, go to Google Maps, and I look at Rio de Janeiro where I was last, and I sort of make a circle what would be about a 2-hour flight, and I think Brasilia is within that range. It's a little closer, it's just that I don't want to make this particular flight too long, and I think Brasilia is a great destination. So Rio de Janeiro, and we gotta know, of course, the ICAO for the code for an airport in Rio de Janeiro, and the easiest way is Wikipedia. So I'll type in Rio de Janeiro airport. So here's the international airport. Every airport has a Wikipedia page that has the ICAO code, so in this case SBGL, and usually has maps as well. I don't see any here right now. Sometimes it has the maps for the airport, the parking areas and the taxiways. If you still need to find it, you can just Google the ICAO code and then ask for maps or charts, and you will find it on Google. I myself have a Navigraph subscription, so that makes it easy for me, but if you don't have that, Google is your friend. So my next one is Brasilia, of course. I gotta find Brasilia. Brasilia Airport. Brasilia International, so SBBR. I'll write that down. And the other thing that I'm going to write down from this page, and it's always on the right side here, is the elevation, which is 3,500 feet. From here, we're going to go to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Right, so here we are in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And we're not going to spend too much time setting this up. I always fly the same plane, so it's already selected. If you want to fly a different one, of course, you got to change that. SBGL is where we want to start off, Rio de Janeiro. And we want to zoom to details. We'll just pick any one ramp. That looks good to me. I'm not too picky. In flight conditions, I can show you I'm in all players, live traffic and live, and I do that because this way I can change the time, because I am usually flying when this part of the world is dark and I don't want to fly in darkness. So let's see, we picked the gate and we're ready to fly. Alright, we got Microsoft Flight Simulator all started up. Now we go look at the overhead panel, and if this is too dark, you can always hit the emergency exit lights. It'll light it up until you get normal power going. We'll start with providing power with the battery, and then start the APU. Normally you would do a script test and fire an overheat test before you do all that. I skip over any of the system tests because I know it works, because it's on my PC at home. For realism, not really the way to go, but just so you know, this is how I do it, just to hurry it along and get up in the air quicker. So we'll wait until the APU is fully started up. So the APU, the auxiliary power unit, provides both electricity and air. And first we'll put the generator on the left and right buses, and then we'll turn on some air, and we'll turn on the packs, which provide air conditioning and pressurization pressure. Right now it just keeps the plane at a comfortable level of temperature. We'll turn on the not this switch, this switch. I've changed something in the settings, and ever since I have trouble finding the switches correctly. I might change that back, which is lens correction. Somehow the cursor just doesn't hit the buttons the same way. Okay. Either way, we're going to go up here and we're going to switch the IRUs to nav. And if I have the IRU set to align in real time, which is a long time, well, not that long, but if you want to know what time is left, it's this round button here, the knob on the bottom basically of these two, and you switch it all the way to the right, and now we got 8 minutes left. As you can see, that number is my time left for alignment. I'll go to my FMC, hit that position, and I can either go to the next page and pull up one of the GPS locations. Once those pop up, it takes a little bit to find that, or I can just use my last position and I'll click it and it will be pulled into the scratch pad. That's what this is called, the scratch pad. And just for your information, if I press clear, it clears it one number at a time. If I press and hold clear, it clears the entire scratch pad. But in this case, I actually need that number because I'll drag it into the IRS position. So it's basically copy, paste. Yeah, Boeing did copy paste long before Windows ever did. Alright, so now we're here. And we need a route. We need something to fill in here. So next stop is Pilot2ATC. So we'll switch over to Pilot2ATC and we'll press the connect button, which connects
Galileo
Pilot2ATC
Galileo
to
Antonio Carlos
Microsoft Flight
Chopin
Simulator.
Information X-ray 90 Zulu winds are light and variable. Visibility 6 miles. Sky condition VFR.
And we will listen for the
Temperature
QNH.
17. Dew point 15. Current QNH is 1015.
1015.
Arriving and departing runway 10. Galileo Antonio Carlos Chopin
that's all the
Information
information we need
X-ray
from that.
90 Zulu winds are light and variable. Visibility 6 miles.
When I click on frequency, you can see
Sky condition VFR.
ATIS is right now
Temperature
127.6,
17,
which is selected here.
Current QNH is 1015. Arriving and departing runway 10.
127.60 is active in my
Galileo Antonio
VHF
Carlos
1.
Chopin Information X-ray. 90
and the one that's in
Zulu
standby
winds
is
are light and variable.
1.00, which is clearance delivery.
Visibility 6 miles.
So all I have to do
Sky
is
condition
press
VFR.
the transfer button, and instead of the clearance delivery, instead of ATIS, I'm now on clearance delivery, and ATIS went to the standby frequency. I can change the standby, I cannot change the active one. Right. So I know my QNH, and now I would need a flight plan. For that I need some active runways, and I can use Pilot2ATC for that by pressing new, at waypoint SBGL. Excuse the chatter is just making me feel less lonely up there. Okay, but it can be a little bit loud and obnoxious. obnoxious, so I'll turn it down here on my speakers, and I'll press Autoplan. I already have a 10 and an 11 right. Maybe it'll change, maybe it'll be the same. There you go, runway 10 and 11 right. Those are the ones that Pilot2ATC, by looking at the current weather on Microsoft Flight Simulator, deems as useful. So we'll take off at 10, and we'll land at 11 right, and we'll press new to clear that, because now we're just using that information in Simbrief. Alright, so we'll go to dispatch systems, new flight. We'll type in HLN for Air Holland, 99, departure is as BGL, arrival is SBBR. It fills in an alternate. It comes up with a departure runway of 33, which we need to change. So select a new set. Yep. And arrival runway 11 right. That is correct, right here. In this, make sure that your units are set to the units you have in your airplane. I got it set to kilograms. You make that mistake and you'll have an Air Canada flight. Aircraft type, we go to B737 right here. However, you can also save that, and I have it saved at the top. That way I don't have to scroll and search for it. And all we have to do now is generate flight. Yes, I do want to make a new flight. Okay, block fuel is 5,900, and we'll make that, we'll round that up to 6,000.
Southwest 1203, clearance to Houston.
Cruise altitude is flight level 360.
Cleared to Houston via runway 07, departure 923 uniform.
Now we go back down here, and here's the flight pan. From the flight pan we'll pull off the average wind, 179 slash 057.
Squawk 4620, 120.5 on the frequency.
And as we scroll down, this is the routing. We'll select it and copy it. So now we're pretty much done in Simbrief. The only other thing that we have to do is go here and find my Simbrief downloader, which is a fantastic app. I got it selected to download my flight plan and the wind uplink for PMDG, and automatically set it into the correct folder on my computer. I'll see if I can find the information, the tutorial for that, and link it in the description. But all I have to do is select export selected format, and I gotta make sure that it is the correct one. Just refresh that. Yeah, that's the correct one. Export. Yes. Yeah, I already created one before. That's why I wanted to make sure I got the correct one. And that's now downloaded to my PC. So now we go and use this route, which I just copied. And I go to Pilot2ATC, select flight plan import, and we'll get two fault messages right now. Import, SID not found, and star not found. Something is wrong with Pilot2ATC, that it doesn't recognize the Simbrief information correctly. But it might actually be a Simbrief problem, because the star and the SID, this is the SID, the standard instrument departure, is they add a letter to it, and it's the letter just in front of the number. I'm gonna delete it, so make that FRI1A, and the star, the same thing, the letter in front of the number, I'll delete that. I'll select import, and there you go, there's the entire flight. So we have it loaded up. In this case, we'll validate it, making sure that the cruise altitude is at the flight level as well, by the way. Sometimes I forget that, but that is an important one to remember. Also, just for your information, 737 descent rate 1600 fpm is a good number to use in Pilot2ATC. You use anything below that, you will be asked to descend quite early, and anything above that you might actually pass your calculated top of descent and descent late. So 1600 is a good descent rate. Anyway, we'll click File, and as you can see there's no approach information right now, so I'll deselect File and click it again, and there's my approach information. A little quirk that is easily rectified, and I'm going to write down these three things now: the standard instrument departure, the star, the standard approach, and the approach. So this is good information to have to program the FMC. I should warn you, if the weather changes in Microsoft Flight Simulator, Pilot2ATC will change active runways as well. You can actually configure it to always be forced to use the ones that I enter or the ones that I file, but I have it set that it can change, and of course that is more realistic, so I kind of like it. Alright, so we go here to this page and we've downloaded the route. So we go type in SBGL and SBBR. So Rio de Janeiro and Brazil, company route, and request. So a little bit more information, not much more. Select. This takes a little while, just be patient. Just because it doesn't look like it's doing anything doesn't mean it isn't doing anything. Load. Loading it took a lot longer. I just skipped through it for you by editing, and I've loaded it and executed it, and the flight plan is entered. So flight number is 99. That's always my flight number, and we'll go to departure arrival to enter my departure and arrival. So departure is flight level runway 10. I'm going to use the EVRA 1A sit, and our transition is NSOT. This is the information that I just noted down here. So EVRA 1A, runway 10, NSOT. Execute. Now I go back to departure arrival, SBBR, 11. So it's ILS 11 right, and it's V.
Roger.
So ILS, next page, ILS V11 right. Again, that's the information I got from, so it's Lovela 1A and Lovela, with Rhina as a transition here. So the approach transition is Lovela and the start transition is Rhina. Again, that is the information I got from down here. Execute. Now I'm going to route again, and I'm going to go next page and verify that everything is correct and there's no discontinuities. In this case there's not. Sometimes it doesn't know how to get from one place to another, and it will say discontinuity. And the way to fix that is to pick the waypoint beneath the discontinuity. In this case, for instance, Rhina. We'll click it, put it in Scratchpad, and then pull it up to the discontinuity, and it'll fill it in, and it'll go direct to that waypoint. In this case, everything is good, no discontinuities, and we'll go to performance initialization. As you can see, it sort of flows from one information to the next, to the next, to the next. It's pretty easy once you do this a couple of times. Performance, a lot of numbers that you can type in, or if you use Simbrief, you just press request, because I just downloaded that information as well. Oops. And execute. There it is. So we still have a couple of blanks here, and the fuel, as you can see, we have 11.4 in here right now, and we wrote down 6,000 earlier. So I go to the menu, FS Actions, Fuel, 600, 0. I have to write down the takeoff center of gravity, which is 22.9 right here. 22.9%. Mind you, you can also, using reserve fuel. Oh, seriously? You want more? We can put in 6100. Doesn't really matter. We got sort of a good number. 23.0%. Okay, so we have 6100 now. This is a takeoff center of gravity. That can be changed by changing the payload. If you want to do that, go ahead. I usually just don't bother with this, leave it at default, and just want to go fly. Okay, so go back to the FMC. 6.1 is our planned fuel, and the cruise wind is the other number that we wrote down from Simbrief, which is 179/057. And everything is entered. Now we go to the next page, and one limit. In real life, pilots don't tend to do full power takeoffs, which is the top, and full power climbs. They are fun to do. I've done them several times in the 5.7 with RB211 engines as a passenger, and it does feel a bit like a roller coaster ride, but airliners usually tend to not like having the wear and tear and the fuel burn. So in real life they do a D rate, and I just select the 22K D rate in this case. You can also select higher temperature, higher outside temperature than it actually is. That will also derate the engines. We'll go to takeoff, go flaps 5. And center of gravity, remember 23.0 that we had before. And we have our V1, VR, and V2. So trim is the first important number, 5.75. We'll go here.
Roger that.
And we go to 5.75. This, believe it or not, is a cable going all the way back to the through the plane to the back of the plane to a big drum, changing the step trim. And you can manually trim it by pulling out this handle and rotating this drum or this wheel. It seems to go slowly electrically right now. If the flaps are not up, so if the flaps are anywhere but up, this goes really fast. And with that handle out, it's a knee buster. Just for your information. Right. So we'll go to V2 is 135. We'll add 5 to that and make this 140. We'll right away turn on our auto throttle, flight directors. Let's zoom in a bit. 2. And we are set right there. That's annoying, but also I don't care, so go away. Alright. So takeoff is all good. If you change your runway condition right here in the next page, you will have to go back again to your speeds and enter the new ones. Of course it's nice and sunny right now, so we don't bother with changing that. But any change here will change your takeoff reference speeds. Now that this is set, we go to, let's see, legs, and we'll make sure that we have our speeds right here, 155, 250, 275. Those are your calculated speeds at these waypoints, and these are your calculated altitudes at those waypoints. If those are missing, you have done something wrong. You have not, and most likely if you go to your performance, most likely you haven't executed it. Sometimes people get problems with auto throttle not arming. That's because they didn't execute the performance initialization page. In this case everything is entered. We go to climb and make sure the cruise altitude is 360, which it is. We're going to go to cruise. No, we're going to go to destination, and we'll click on forecast. Remember that other thing that we downloaded from Simbrief is the winds. So we'll download the winds. Load. And execute. So that's it for this page. We're done. The FMC is set. Everything is done. We do want to verify and go up here. Switch this switch to plan. And this one a little bit bigger, 40 miles, 80 miles maybe. There you go. Now this bottom button says step. It won't say step if you don't go to the plan mode on your screen. Now we can step through each waypoint and verify that everything looks good. That there's no weird curly cues, that there's no weird locations entered.
That is correct. Are you in gate Alpha 3, right?
Okay. So that is basically the route, and we just verified that it all looks good. And I can just show you real quick what it looks like if we switch this back to map. Get this a bit closer again so I can take off and see what I'm doing. But now it'll say route data right here instead of step. Yeah, we're completely done now with the FMC, so let's get cracking. Right, so let's ask for our IFR clearance. Orange 999 are ready to copy IFR clearance. Think a little bit.
Orange 999 is cleared to Sierra Bravo Bravo Romeo, climb via the EVRA-1A departure, with the INSID transition, then as filed. Expect departure runway 10. Climb to flight level 290 via the departure. Expect higher clearances 10 minutes after departure. Approach on 123.9. Squawk 6504. Orange 999 is cleared to Sierra Bravo Bravo Romeo, climb via the EVRA-1A departure, with the INSID transition, then as filed. Climb to flight level 290 via the departure. Expect higher clearances 10 minutes after departure. Approach on 123.9.
Switch this to traffic
Squawk
advisory
6504. Orange 999 read back correct. QNH is 1015, contact ground on 121.65 when ready for pushback. Have a nice day. QNH is 1015, ground on 121.65. Orange 999.
See, it's set. That was the bleep for going to ground, and we're ready to go. So flight level 290. That is one thing that he mentioned.
American
Should set that right here.
To avoid delay,
Just a nice high altitude before. Sometimes when you have to go to 4,000, you'll get 4,000, 11,000. Okay, 290, ready to go. We'll check up here and set the overhead panel for pushback. We'll turn on the pumps, all the fuel pumps. This one was turned on, by the way, in case you missed that. The APU gets fed by this one. It gets fed by the left system, and the left forward one is always the lowest one. It does have its own DC pump, but I used to always turn on this pump to use the AC pump to fuel the feed the APU. It's kind of a habit thing. All right. So we do not have fuel in the center tank, right? No, we do not. Okay, so we do not need the center fuel pumps. If you do have fuel in the center tank, you switch on your center fuel pumps as well. Right now they will just have the low pressure lights. If you do use the center pumps and during flight the low pressure lights come on, that's when you turn them off and it'll start using fuel out of your wings. It'll always use the fuel out of the center first. This 737 does not model scavenge pumps, so whatever is left in the center tank is left in the center tank, and it doesn't scavenge it into the left as it would in real life. So we'll head back up, we'll turn on the yaw damper. Here, this is all set, nothing that you need to change here. APU is still on power. If you have ground power selected, now would be the time to switch to your APU power. I don't usually use ground power really. Engine start. The last time I started on left, so now I'll start on right. Pilots tend to start outbound on left and then coming back on right, or so you know, depending on the procedure of the company. This way they can test each ignition system. Every time they start, they'll only use one. If it doesn't start, you know that one is bad. It doesn't have to be done. The system doesn't have to be tested any other way but by like this. Alright, we'll go up. Fasten seatbelts on. We don't have real passengers, but that doesn't mean we don't want to be a little bit realistic. Window heat, turn those on. Probe heat, turn those on. We don't need anti-ice. It's a beautiful sunny day. And we wouldn't turn those on anyway until we are at least engine started and everything. On the ground, those are actually too hot. It will eventually switch off. It will overheat. Logo light on. Turn on the anti-collision light. Let people know that things are happening. And I always drop here on the pressurization panel. And this is always the time that I remember to set my cruise altitude and my landing altitude, which is 3500. Remember that number that we got from Wikipedia. You can always get it from charts as well, but I just get it from Wikipedia. It's easier and quicker. Okay, we'll turn off the packs. Packs use air, but we want to use the air to start the engines. So we want to make sure the packs aren't using up all the air. And we'll switch this to auto. So after engine start, left and right engines are in charge of the left and right system. And we're ready to go. We're all set to push back. We'll check real quick here. Oh, by the way, let's pull up Navigraph chart. SPGL. Pull that up here. Taxi and airport. So we're here. We're going to take off from runway 10, which is here. Last time, I have tried this flight before. Last time it wanted me to go all the way to L2 around, and then actually I took off on 28, but it doesn't recognize this as a taxiway. That's a Pilot2ATC problem. Pilot2ATC only knows the airport to a certain extent, and you'll have to use the taxi maintenance feature to fix each airport individually. But that's only worth it if you fly there more than once, or if you go there all the time. If you fly there once or twice, then I wouldn't bother with it. But the limitation of that is it doesn't know the runways, the taxiways, and the parking spots good enough to be accurate. So I'll probably have to taxi around again. So I want my nose to the right. So here, FMC, FS actions, pushback, standard L, turn nose right, select tug. We got a tug selected, and we'll set the parking brake. Right, we can't just push just yet. Orange 999er is ready for pushback.
Orange 999er contact tower on 118.0. Tower on 118.0 Orange 999er.
I hesitated, so it misread my intentions. Orange 999er ready for pushback.
Orange 999er pushback approved.
I can still
Pushback
do it on
approved,
the tower,
orange
which is
9er,
kind of
9er.
weird. Normally I have to go back to ground, but I'm approved. So we'll start.
To ground.
Go ahead. We've been cleared for pushback and start. They want the tail to our left. Roger that. Ready to push. Tail to the left. Parking brakes off.
Here's the parking brakes.
Brakes released.
And somewhere today we're going to be moving.
Brakes released.
As
Here
you
we
can
go.
see, the stairs went away, and we'll start right first. Alright, so start valve is open. N2 is rising. And 1 is rising. We have oil pressure. And we'll wait until N2 is about 25%. Throttle and idle.
Delta Pacific
So
Current,
fuel
via
is on,
Alpha
fuel
to
flow, EGT.
Alright, that's the caravan Alpha, holding point
Light up.
for this 1970.
Low oil pressure light out. Now we'll wait for the click. Click. Start valve open light is out. So start valve is closed. The click is the switch jumping back to auto. This is an option, by the way. I selected the option to have the switches with the
Pushback
auto.
complete. Parking brake set.
Brake set right there.
Brake set.
In auto, the ignition will be turned on automatically when the flaps are not up, which means you're either landing or taking off. That's the only reason you would use flaps.
Steering pin is pulled. Watch for the salute and release from guidance on your right.
In a normal situation, at least. And when the engine anti-ice switches are selected on. So you don't have to worry about switching your ignition on or off. We'll start left engine. Start valve is open. And 2 is rising. And 1 is rising. Oil pressure is coming up. Fuel on. Fuel flow. And light up. Engine oil pressure light out. Click. Start valve closed. Alright, now we're all set for taxi, or at least the engines are running. Let's go up here and make sure we're set for taxi. Taxi lights on, fuel pumps are as required. We'll turn on generator 1, generator 2. APU is now off bus. Engine storage switch or to both, so both ignition systems are used. Let's go up here, turn on the packs, turn off the bleed air. Dual bleed light is out now, and looks like we're all ready to go. While we're here, I'll put the flaps in 5, which always gets me this message, which I can just clear, and put the auto brakes in RTO. Oh, there. Let's pull up the traffic as well. The TFC gives me traffic, shows me what's in the air. Orange 9er ready to taxi.
Orange 9er contact Galileo ground on 121.65 for taxi clearance.
Ground on 121.65 for taxi clearance. Orange 9er.
Orange 9er is ready to taxi.
Orange 9er taxi to runway 10 via taxiways Lima 2, Kilo, November,
Lima 2 is the one
Oscar,
over here.
hold short runway 10. Taxi to runway 10 via taxiways Lima 2, Kilo, November, Oscar, hold short runway 10.
So
Orange
we just got a whole
9er.
alphabet soup of instructions, and I can either pull up a chart, which I already have pulled up of course, but I find it easier just to go to Pilot2ATC, click the taxi button, and look at that. It wants me to taxi this way. So here, right, and then to the far one, and then just stick to the left. Okay. Button break off. And we'll taxi to our runway. Yeah, I love these vehicles just plowing right through me. Every airport, airplanes have the right of way. I already turned down the density of airport vehicles quite a bit, but I kind of like having some sort of realism, but them ignoring airplanes is not realistic, is it? And they're often on like taxiways and runways, and you're like, that's not where any of those go, especially not like baggage carts. What's a baggage cart doing on a freaking runway? Okay. Enough whining, let's get to the runway. A little fast. It's getting late here. Get in the air and fly. Keep to the left, correct? Yeah.
1511 after dot 2, direct at Leeton, then Lima 451 Oldie, and then Elizabeth City after that at File. 15.
Oh.
15, be back there.
4-wheel drive for this. Sorry, 3-wheel drive. Wait. Actually, this plane does have 4 wheels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wheels. 6. Just a default airport. I didn't do anything different here. Not even a world update yet in South America, so I wish they would. They would do one.
Contact tower on 118.0. Enjoy your morning. Cleared to cross runway 10 tower on 118.0 Orange 9er.
I mean, clear to cross. I want to use it to take off. Orange 9er is ready to go.
9er winds are light and variable, cleared for takeoff. Runway 10.
Cleared for takeoff. Runway 10 Orange 9er.
Come on. Strobes on, landing lights on. Ready to go. Flat now. Fletcher 5, RTO. A little dark down there, isn't it? There you go. Turn the brightness up on the panels a little. Bit of power. Toga.
Airspeed alive. 8 knots.
Alright, hold.
V1, rotate. Positive rate of climb.
Beautiful day. Just coming to 2, 1. Up. Gear is up. And we're on the autopilot.
Orange 9er contacts Sao Paulo control on 123.9er. Enjoy.
Approach on 123.9er Orange 9er.
Turn off the taxi.
Approach Orange 9er climbing to flight level 290. Orange 9er, good morning. Radar contact.
United 1553, present position.
Beautiful
flight
aerial
direction
flag.
1490, set to 10,000 feet, maintain height.
That's why I wish they would do a little update of Southern America.
High speed, 155.
Some of the most fun airports to fly, I think. There's one in Bolivia, I believe, that is flight level 130. Oh, sorry, elevation is 13,000 feet. So you'll actually get a cabin altitude warning as you land.
After Artina, then
Or
they
taking
cleared
off.
for the ILS DME Zulu runway 07
Even silent,
155.
It's still stupid. Okay. Well, we've taken off. We're on our way up. Gear handling off. And auto brake off. I won't bore you with too much of the flight. I will skip certain pieces. Just try to show you the important parts of it. Okay, so what an airplane does, we just went through 10,000 feet. Turn on the lights here.
Orange 9er contact Brasilia Center on 124.8. Enjoy your morning. Center on 124.8. Take care Orange 9er. Center Orange 9er climbing to flight level 290.
Orange 9er, good morning. Radar contact.
A couple of pictures for my thumbnail. This is a beautiful sight, isn't it? Okay. So, where was I? Alright. So, the autopilot in VNAV in vertical navigation calculates a climb path and a descent path, and it will do that by maintaining its speed. So speed is set at 280, and in order for the plane to maintain its speed, it increases or decreases the vertical speed. The climb power is set. The power won't change. The N1 will go up as the air gets thinner, but the actual power setting will stay the same all the way through the entire climb. And in order to maintain that 280, or at least the speed that it wants to fly, it will basically just change the vertical speed. At some point this vertical speed will drop down quite dramatically, because at higher altitudes the wings have less influence with the thin air, and the engines have less influence as well. So as it climbs, you can see it's already going down 2800 now. That number will go down. That is why it is not recommended to fly on vertical speed mode, because you'll have to constantly decrease it as your speed is coming down, to maintain your speed.
American 1353, descend to 8,000 feet.
So we will prepare the legs. As you can see, it just has the next one in. Izixi is right there, and it'll tell me that I have to be above flight level 210. That is a restriction. So at Izixi I have to be above, which I will easily, well, not easily, I will get there. I will be at least above 210. And then these are the calculated altitudes for the next spots, the next waypoints.
Oh, bad 5-6.
Bad 5-6, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am, we're in the clear. Any chance you'd mind if I climbed up, maintain VFR operational up to 21.5? If not, I could take a IFR to 210.
Bad 5-6, Roger, that will be with 10 American Control 124.1, please, if you would like to be IFR.
24.1, bad 5-6, we'll go over there. Thank you, have a nice day.
You too, bye-bye, 10 American Control.
Orange 9er climb and maintain flight level 360.
Climb and maintain flight level 360 Orange 9er.
That was my altitude alert. To 36,000. Cruise altitude. See, it also shows on the map top of climb. And that arc is basically the arc where I'll reach the altitude that I set. On descent you'll see that arc again, but right now it gone. Alright. So go here to top of descent, 11:37. 37 minutes, we'll get there. 303 nautical miles. So the descent button that we can push, get the same sort of information, 11:37. And the descent now button is an important one here. If ATC tells me pretty early that I have to descend, I have to press that button. Well, I first have to select the lower altitude, but then I press the descent now button and we'll go into an early descent. Now the plane has a descent path calculated. If I go to legs, continue at some point right here, as you can see there's an entire path that's calculated already. If I deviate by clicking descent now early, it will go into a shallow descent of about 1,000 feet a minute, and it'll stay there until it catches up with the actual calculated descent path. I'll probably be able to show you once we are going into descent. So for now I'm just gonna fly. I'm gonna keep it here and skip over most of this boring stuff and meet you again once we're getting close to the top of descent, at which point we should also get our descent information, so and our approach information, which may have changed from the last time I looked at Pilot2ATC, so we'll see. Meet you later.
Orange 9er contact Brasilia Center on 123.85. Have a nice day.
Center on 123.85 Orange 9er. Center Orange 9er at flight level 360. Orange 9er, good morning. Radar contact.
Another thing that we can do right now is set up our approach. If we head here, initial reference, we can select our approach speed and flap setting. We'll use 40-130 right there. It also gives us the ILS for 11 right and the course, so you don't have to search that up in any charts or anything. The FMC knows it and will show it to you. 109.90 is actually 109.90 right there, and over a bit 109.90, and the course is 108. So we'll set the course here.
Center November 2000 Lima, 4,500 climbing, 10,000 direct to Coney.
I'm going to set both of them up because depending on how that approach is going, I might just do an auto land just to show how that goes. I've done many landings, but I'm not claiming that I'm good at them. Actually, I am pretty decent, but lately I've been flying with FS Realistic Pro, and that's another level. And it just threw me off because I've been flying without it for so long, and suddenly FS Realistic Pro throws in another more.
Orange 9er descent via the LUVL1 Alpha arrival with the Reina transition to cross Lovla at or above 6,000 feet. QNH is 1021 at Pres Juscelino Kubitschek International. Descend via the LUVL1 Alpha arrival with the Reina transition to cross Lovla at or above 6,000 feet. QNH is 1021 Orange 9er.
What was that other Reina transition to cross Lovla at or above 6,000? So it's kind of nice to be able to read this here. Lovla, 6,000 and above. So that's already a restriction that is known to the FMC. But with a Reina transition, 6,000 feet. Oh, the lowest number that I heard was 6,000, so we'll put that in here. Of course, at some point they want us to actually descend. I'm just dragging it out a little bit because it is kind of early. So we'll do descend now and execute. And there's a vertical deviation that will start building up. You'll see it here as well, the vertical deviation. That's the deviation from the ground, from the descent path that it calculated. As you can see, we're now 240 feet low on the descent path, and this is the altitude it wants me to fly going up. And as you can see, the descent is now 1,000 feet a minute, which is the shallow descent to eventually catch up with the original descent path. If I zoom out a little, this is the arc of the during the current descent at 1,000 feet a minute. At that arc is when I hit 6,000 feet. So that's what that arc indicates. Then there are some green things there. Let's see if I can.
Center, good morning, Falcon 114 Bravo Delta, 6,300 for 10,000, Glada.
Thanks. Is that those? Yeah. There's two circles here and they're very hard to see. Those two circles are where I hit 10,000 feet. The first circle is where I hit 10,000 feet and the second circle is where it continues descending. Just like when you are climbing through 10,000 feet, it levels off at 2,000 feet or 10,000 feet in order to speed up. And at 10,000 feet, it'll on the descent, it'll level off as well in order to slow down to 250 or below. So that's what those circles are that are here.
It
says decelerate there as well. But it's more for the star, I believe, because it wants a BR046, it wants a speed of 220. Right, so now we go back to map. We're still pretty far away from the top of the descent. This is a very early descent. It's okay.
Southwest 112, contact tower 118.6. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
118.6.
Orange 9er contact Brasilia Center on 128.5. Enjoy your morning. Center on 128.5 Orange 9er. Center Orange 9er descending to 6,000 feet. Orange 9er good morning. Radar contact.
So it still maintains its two top of descent information, 5 miles. As you can see, we're getting close. And we are 12,000 feet below calculated descent path. So. But we gotta do what ATC tells us to do, so we'll just do it really slowly. And I'm gonna hit it, I'm gonna hit it soon.
Departure United 10907 is
so now you will see the
for flight level
vertical deviation
180 on the Nanjo 3 uniform.
Still going up,
United
but it'll
10907, good
eventually
morning.
go down again.
So 3 uniform flying to 18,000 feet, QNH 29907.
climb to 18,002.9.97 for United, 1097.
There it goes. So now we're going to go catch up to that. Let's look what this area looks like. Pretty flat. A little disappointing. We'll see what the rest looks like.
JetBlue 38. JetBlue 38 with you, 14-6, climbing flight level 180.
Orange 9er contact Brasilia Control on 129.72, have a good morning. Approach on 129.72 Orange 9er.
JetBlue.
Approach Orange 9er descending to 6,000 feet. Orange 9er good morning. Radar contact. Continue descent via the LUVL1 Alpha arrival, for the ILS approach to runway 11 right with the Lovla transition at Pres Juscelino Kubitschek International. Continue descent via the LUVL1 Alpha arrival, for the ILS approach to runway 11 right with the Lovla transition Orange 9er.
Right, so we've leveled off at 10,000 feet. Because 10,000 feet is where we have to stay above on this waypoint. So far there's very little like wilderness here, is there? It's a lot of farmland. Coming over some wilderness now though. Closer now to that descent path.
Over 1602 via Alpha 1 Papa, clear ILS Zulu for runway 07. Report established.
Alright, descent via Barra 1 Papa, clear for the ILS Zulu, will report on the localizer Southwest 602.
Set outbreak to 2. I'll set it to 3. I have yet to map the thrust reversers, so it's more laziness than anything else. So I don't usually use the thrust reversers during landing. Do want speed brakes armed. Basically lift up the handle and set it on top here. Arms the speed brakes, there's a green light.
Orange 9er, you have traffic at 1 o'clock 10 miles at 6,300 feet.
Oh, there's a bunch of traffic around here. I will not go into a go-around if I have traffic on my landing. It's getting late here and I gotta land this thing and go to bed.
United 1553, contact at tower 186. Bye-bye.
69 at 15.
Orange 9er, you have traffic at 2 o'clock 8 miles at 5,900 feet. Orange 9er, QNH is 1021 cleared for the ILS approach to runway 11 right with the Lovla transition at Prez Juscelino Kubitschek International. QNH is 1021 cleared for the ILS approach to runway 11 right with the Lovla transition. Orange 9er. Orange 9er, you have traffic at 1 o'clock 10 miles at 6,700 feet.
Yeah. Lower the flaps to
Orange 9er, descend via the Lovla transition to 5,500 feet. Descend to 5,500 feet via the Lovla transition. Orange 9er. Orange 9er, QNH is 1021 at Prez Juscelino Kubitschek International. Contact tower on 118.1.
Set.
Enjoy your morning. QNH is 1021 tower on 118.1. Orange 9er. Tower Orange 9er inbound for ILS approach runway 11 right.
Orange 9er, good morning. Radar contact. Continue ILS to runway 11 right, call when established on final.
Continue ILS to runway 11 right, will call when established on final. Orange 9er.
Can 2233 radar contact, turn right direct Cesta, descend via start to 10,000.
Direct Cesta, and
see the diamonds for the
yeah, start 10,000.
Let's open localizer.
via Cesta 10,000, American 2233.
I don't think it actually sees it yet though. Still pretty far away. This is the runway.
1222, continue the active packet. Bravo's the last one at your left. Alpha 1 in this frequency. Nice.
Hi, Bravo Alpha 1, with you, United 1220.
So 5,500 was the altitude I needed, which is this altitude right here, mandatory 55. Here comes the localizer. I'm going to hit approach. I'm going to keep lowering my flaps, gear down.
Orange 9er, you have traffic at 1 o'clock 10 miles at flight level 105.
Hit my second autopilot. Say call when established, call when established. Yep. Orange 9er established on final.
Orange 9er winds are light and variable, cleared to land runway 11 right.
Cleared to land runway 11 right, Orange 9er.
Those runways are far away from each other, aren't they?
Orange 9er, you have traffic at 2 o'clock 9 miles at flight level 095.
Glide slope is coming down. And glide slope capture. So now you can see here VR localizer is active and glide slope is active. Still on single channel, but we got both left and right autopilots selected. I'm going to flaps 40. Lights are on.
1000.
Auto brake. And we are cleared to land. Shows command, so both autopilots are engaged. Both autopilots are in command. Flare is armed. Gear down. Clear left. There's a mistake I made. This should have been radio.
112, okay to make a left turn on Delta, sir.
It's too late now. The minimum should have been called out earlier.
Alpha 8, stay with me.
Like
Delta
about
Alpha 88,
now.
stay with you, Southwest 112.
Thank you, sir.
So select the radio.
200. Approaching minimums.
Yeah. These are not the real minimums. That's a mistake I made.
100.
I'll fess up.
50. 40.
Flare.
30. 20. 10.
What a beautiful landing that was.
Orange 9er exit runway when able.
Able now. There we go. Don't have a nice access for brakes. It's all or nothing. Set parking brake. Speed brakes down. Flaps up. And lights are off. And back to normal lighting. Start the APU. Orange 9er requesting taxi to the gate.
Orange 9er contact Brasilia ground on 121.8 for taxi clearance.
Ground on 121.8 for taxi clearance. Orange 9er.
Orange 9er requesting taxi to the gate.
Orange 9er taxi to gate 14 via taxiways Juliet. Mike. Taxi to gate 14 via taxiways Juliet. Mike, Orange 9er.
I guess that is... So 14 is this one, is the third one. Is it this one or that one? I think it's at Juliet Mike, right? Well, as you can see, there's no signs around here. And I think I just closed my Juliet Mike, so those don't even exist here. Okay, we'll take this one. Flaps are up. Sure. And big building. That one, third one from the end.
American 917, ground, continue to gate 22 via Foxtrot 1. Foxtrot 1, 2, American 917.
Plane in my location. That wouldn't be the first time. It seems that every time I get to an airport and Pilot2ATC wants me to park somewhere, there is a plane in the one location that's assigned to me. It's there, isn't it? Well, I'll take the gate before that. Every frickin' time. Let's see. The third one. There. Okay, well, we'll park here. Problem with Pilot2ATC, it doesn't talk well with Flight Simulator when it comes to these kind of things. That's weird way to park though, isn't it, with that nose that way? Oh, and I hit that gate, so I'm just gonna park right here. Set. View on bus. Oh, shut up. And if you for air, I'm good to go on the engines. Don't need those. Well, keep that one on for the EPU. Lights are off. The collision light is off. By now the passengers can go walk around, maybe use the restroom. It's pretty much what real pilots do, right? Turn it on at the beginning and come on. There you go. Pumps off. Good to go. Oh, so this valve is not open.
Text 55, arrival at 14. Next to your right, contact ground 14.
319,
right, well,
right in Bravo, Text 55, everything.
That was my flight to Brasilia. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I showed you a couple of things that are useful to you. If not, I'm sorry. Leave a comment and tell me what you want to see. Like I said, this is not a tutorial. I didn't post this to be graded on my landing qualities or whatever, which are all autopilot, so I don't care. But just to show you guys how this plane can be flown in an easy way, programmed, and quite honestly I enjoy flying like this. It's a bit of a hectic thing at the beginning and at the end. In the middle I watch a movie, read a book, whatever. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you somewhere in the future. Bye bye.